I need you to stop everything you are doing right now. Because today, on NBC's Today Show, Savannah Guthrie sat across from her closest colleague, Hoda Kotb, human, and far more devastating than any of that. She said, "I just say, I'm so sorry, Mommy. I'm so sorry. If it is me, I'm so sorry." She was crying. She was wiping tears from her face, and she was saying sorry to her 84-year-old mother, a woman who was not there to hear it, for something that is not her fault, not even close to her fault. The idea that Savannah Guthrie, a journalist, a daughter, a mother herself, is carrying the weight of guilt for what happened to Nancy is one of the most painful things to emerge from 55 days of covering this case. And today she said it out loud, in front of the entire nation, without flinching, without hiding, without pretending she is okay, because she is not okay, and she refused to pretend otherwise. And that, in this moment, is the bravest thing anyone has done in this entire investigation. Today is day 54. Savannah is sorry, and the person who should actually be sorry is still out there, watching. Nancy Guthrie has been missing for 54 days. She is 84 years old. She was taken in her pajamas with no shoes, without her heart medication, in the dead of night, by someone who stood over her bed, masked, armed, and prepared, while she was at her most vulnerable. And today, for the first time since February 1st, her daughter Savannah sat down and told the world exactly what it felt like to get that phone call, exactly what she saw when she arrived at her mother's home, exactly what she has been living with every single day since. And every single detail she revealed, the back doors, the pajamas, the no shoes, the brother who knew immediately, the guilt she carries, the 2 ransom notes she believes were real, every single one of them adds a dimension to this case that no forensic analysis, no investigative breakdown, and no expert commentary has been able to provide. Because today was not about evidence. Today was about Nancy, the real Nancy, the little person in pajamas with no shoes, and the daughter who will not rest until she comes home. First question for you right now. When you heard Savannah say, "I'm so sorry, Mommy. If it is me, I'm so sorry," what did you feel? Drop your answer in the comments, because today that answer matters more than any theory. March 26th, 2026, day 54, NBC Today Studio, New York City. Here is everything Savannah revealed in today's interview, every new detail, every emotional moment, and every piece of information that changes how we understand this case. Revelation 1. The back doors were propped open. This is the detail that your viewers have been asking about since day 1, and today Savannah confirmed it directly and completely. When the family first arrived at Nancy's home on the morning of February 1st, before law enforcement had fully secured the scene, the back doors of the house were found propped open, not locked, not closed, propped open. Savannah described the moment. The back doors were propped open, and there was blood on the front doorstep, and the Ring camera had been yanked off, so we were saying this is not okay. Something is very wrong here. The family initially thought Nancy might have had a medical emergency, that paramedics had come in the night and taken her out through the back doors on a stretcher. But her phone was there, her purse was there, all her things were exactly where she had left them, and there was blood on the front doorstep. The back doors propped open, combined with blood at the front and a yanked camera, is the 3-detail combination that told the Guthrie family immediately and irrevocably that this was not a medical emergency. This was a crime. Revelation 2. Nancy was taken in her pajamas with no shoes. Savannah said it plainly and painfully in the video she and her siblings filmed on February 4th. How is it possible that we are having to make a video speaking to a kidnapper who took an 84-year-old woman in the dead of night in her pajamas with no shoes, without her medicine, this little person, and to beg for mercy? Pajamas, no shoes, no medicine, an 84-year-old woman with a bad back, who on a good day could walk to the mailbox and back, taken in the middle of the night in her most vulnerable state. The image is unbearable. The reality is worse. because it means that wherever Nancy is right now, she has been without her heart medication for 54 days, without her shoes, potentially in the same clothes she was sleeping in when that masked figure stood over her bed. And Savannah said it, she cannot imagine that the terrifying masked figure from the surveillance footage is who her mother saw standing over her bed. She cannot, because it is too much. Revelation 3. Her brother Camron knew immediately. Savannah revealed that her brother Camron, a former military fighter pilot, understood what had happened almost instantly. When Savannah called him after receiving the news from her sister Annie, Camron told her directly he believed her mother had been kidnapped for ransom. Savannah recalled, "Even on the phone when I called him, he knew. He said, 'I think she's been kidnapped for ransom.' And I said, 'What?' And then, it sounds so like how dumb could I be, but I didn't want to believe. I just said, 'Do you think because of me?'" Her brother's response, "I'm sorry, sweetie, but yeah, maybe," is the moment that haunts this entire story, because it was the moment Savannah Guthrie first understood that her success, her platform, her face on national television every morning might have made her mother a target. And from that moment, which happened on the phone from a distance while her husband was on a golf trip she had given him as a gift, Savannah has been carrying that question, "Do you think because of me?" Revelation 4. Savannah blames herself. This is the detail that every outlet covered today, but none of them covered it properly. Savannah said, "I don't know that it's because she's my mom and somebody thought, oh, that girl, that lady has money, we can make a quick buck. That would make sense, but we don't know, which is too much to bear, to think that I brought this to her bedside, that it's because of me." And then she said the words that broke the nation. "I just say, I'm so sorry, Mommy. I'm so sorry. If it is me, I'm so sorry." Every outlet quoted those words, but here's what none of them said next, and what I am going to say directly and clearly right now to Savannah, to anyone watching this who has been wondering the same thing, to every true crime analyst who has been dancing around this question for 54 days. This is not Savannah's fault. It was never Savannah's fault. The responsibility for what happened to Nancy belongs to exactly one group of people, the person or people who chose to plan, prepare, execute, and cover up this crime. Full stop. Savannah Guthrie did not make that choice. She never could have prevented it, and no daughter should ever have to apologize to her mother for the crimes of other people. Revelation 5. The 2 ransom notes were real. Savannah addressed the ransom notes directly and made the most significant public confirmation of their status that any family member has made. She said that most of the notes that arrived were not real, consistent with the investigative assessment that they were scammers, but she confirmed that the 2 notes, the 2 that she and her siblings saw and responded to via social media, she believes were real. 2 notes, real, from the actual kidnapper that the family responded to and that produced nothing. No proof of life, no follow-up communication, just silence. The silence that has been the most chilling constant of this entire case. Revelation 6. The surveillance footage was absolutely terrifying. Savannah described seeing the FBI-released footage of the masked suspect for the first time. She said it was absolutely terrifying, and then she said something that stops every investigator cold. "I can't imagine that that is who she saw standing over her bed. I can't. That's too much." Standing over her bed, Nancy was in bed, asleep, in her pajamas with no shoes, and a masked armed figure stood over her, in the dark, in her own bedroom, in the place that was supposed to be the safest place in her world. Now here is what I need to address directly, because your viewers have been asking about the back doors since the very beginning of this case, and today Savannah confirmed it. The back doors were propped open. And here is what that detail, combined with everything we know from episodes 13 and 15, actually means. The security gate at the front door is nearly impossible to breach from outside. The back doors were propped open. Both of these details exist in the same crime scene, and together they tell a story that is consistent with exactly one theory, the doorman theory.
Porch guy at the front, someone inside who had already propped the back doors, either as an exit route or as an entry point used earlier in the night. The propped back doors are not a coincidence. They are the physical evidence of a coordinated two-person operation. And today, for the first time, Savannah Guthrie confirmed them on national television. Second question. Savannah confirmed the back doors were propped open, something your viewers have been asking about since day one. Does this confirmation strengthen your belief in the inside man theory? Drop your theory in the comments. The public response to today's interview has been the most emotionally overwhelming reaction of the entire investigation. Millions of people watched Savannah cry. Millions of people heard her say, "I'm so sorry, Mommy." And millions felt in the gut, in the chest, in the place where we keep the things that are too real to process quickly, the full weight of what this family has been living with for 55 days. Social media erupted. True crime communities set aside every theory and every debate